Hi, this is Natalie McClutchie and welcome to another episode of McClutchie Maths. In this particular video, we are going to be looking at how to use Microsoft Excel to model compound interest and also how to graph it. We're going to be following the QCAA's recurrence relation formula for compound interest. If you've got any questions or comments, you can contact me on mcclutchiemaths@yahoo.com. Let's get started. So with this particular question, I've already set it up. It comes from the Jacaranda Maths Quest textbook for Year 12 in General Maths Queensland. So using technology, I'm going to show on one set of axes how each of the following compound interest rates affects the future value of $4,000, compounding yearly for 10 years. Hence, I'm going to describe the effect that increasing the compound interest rate has on the investment using calculations. Now, if you recall, with our recurrence relation, our formula for any given year, we take the value of the money that's been invested from the year before and multiply it by 1 plus the interest rate to increase it to the next value for the next year. So if I was to actually multiply it by just the interest rate, I'd actually have a model of decay. I'd be decreasing it by the interest rate, and I don't want to do that. I want to increase by the interest rate. So let's start with year 1. So year 0 is my principal, and I haven't earned any compound interest at that particular point. So I'm going to enter an equal sign. That tells Microsoft Excel I'm going to use a formula. So equals, and I'm going to take this amount of $4,000, and I'm going to multiply that by, and I'm going to use brackets, 1 plus this interest rate up here. Now, I need to anchor that interest rate down. I'll explain to you what I mean. If I press enter and I scroll down and click and drag that down, what happens is it's going to pick up the two values above it each time. I don't want it to do that. So let's undo that one there. What I want it to do is to look at the value of the investment in the line above as it's moving down, but I want it to hold that interest rate the same all the way through. So what I do is I click in the cell and it highlights the cells that it's referencing. You'll notice that it's put a square in red around the interest rate. And what I want to do is just put a dollar sign after the letter B and before the number 6. And what that is doing is it's telling it that I can scroll that across, and that way the rate will change for each year. But as I move it down and click and drag that down, it's not going to pick up the wrong cells. It'll always pick up the interest rate cell. So let's try and see what that's going to look like now. And I'm going to make that by putting that little comma sign there. I've given it 2 decimal places. So let's click and drag that down. And I do that by moving my mouse to that bottom right-hand corner, and my mouse changes to a little black cross. Now you can see that all the way down, and by the end of 10 years, I'll have $5,920.98. Now, the good thing to do before I click and drag that all the way across is just to check and make sure that that very last value is referencing the year before's amount of money, which is what it's supposed to do for the formula, and it's also doing the interest rates. That's good news. Okay, now I can highlight this area here, and I can click and drag that all the way across to the last column. So you'll notice here, if I just do a little double check in that very last one as well, I'm definitely got the correct interest rate that I'm trying to find. So now I know I've got my data set up correctly. Now I want to graph this to compare each year and the interest rate so that I can complete the question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the data using the white cross on my mouse. I'm going to insert a graph. So I go up to the insert menu and then I choose this little one here, insert line or area chart. And I want to have one where all of the different years are in so the different interest rates are in different colors and each amount is delineated with a different dot. So if I click on that one, I've now inserted this graph. I'm just going to move that down a little bit out of the way of that recurrence relation. Okay, now there's a few little problems with this graph that I need to tidy up first. Firstly, I need an appropriate title. So let's double click on that and we're going to put a new title in. It's going to be a comparison of interest rates across 10 years. Get rid of that so I can see what I've typed. And then I press enter and then click away from it when I'm happy. Now you'll also notice that I've got down the bottom, I've got all these words, Series 1, Series 2, Series 3, Series 4. I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that part of the graph, on the legend there. If I right click on that now, it's going to ask me to select the data. That's what I want to do, and I want to tell it where to find the actual information for each of those data points. So now if I click on Series 1, I'm going to edit the series name. Now, Series 1 is 4%. So if I click now on that 4% in my title and click OK, notice down here it's now put 4%. And I'm going to have to do, unfortunately, that for each one. So I click on Edit, choose 6%, OK. Next one, click on Edit, 8%, OK. And then the last one, Edit, 10%, OK. And then click OK again. So now you can see down here my legend is now correct. The only thing that's missing that would lose me marks in an exam is I haven't got access title. So that's something I want to insert. So let's click on that again, and you just click basically inside the graph and press the plus button out to the right hand side. It gives us lots of different options. I'm going to choose access titles. So once I've done that, I've checked that box, I can move away. Unfortunately, I've just got to double click on there and highlight it. I'll get it one of these days. Come on, Natalie. Okay. And these are years. And then over to the side here, this is a future value in dollars. Okay, let's close that off and have a look at what we've done here. I'm going to move to my solution now over on the next page where I've done it quite perfectly. Now, I also, by the question, was asked to comment on what's happening. Well, what I can see is that while all of those investments all have the same principle to start with, that as time goes on, the greater the interest rate, the greater the future value of the investment. So my final investment is going to end at $10,000. That was at 10%, which is almost double what I would have had if I'd invested at 4%. So you can see that the power of compounding makes our money grow faster. That's all we have time for today. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like or subscribe to my channel. See you later.